Gold and silver have both seen demand start to return, and in fact, gold has seen a massive demand spike in the last month and a half. And according to this article on Reuters website, you can see right here, it says the Perth Mint's gold and silver sales rise in February. And if you scroll down right here, it says the Perth Mint's gold product sales jumped in February, while silver sales rose 16% from the previous month, the refiner said on Friday, driven by strong demand. And spot prices also pushing. In fact, right now, as I record this video, gold is sitting at $2,988. That is a new all-time high today as I record this video on Thursday, March 13th. Silver is also pushing $34 an ounce at $33.98. So it's not just the physical demand that's seeing a bump, we are seeing a bump in spot price as well, with gold approaching $3,000 an ounce for the first time ever, and silver starting to push towards $35 once again. So what I thought we'd do today is talk to a local coin shop owner and find out if the same thing is being seen locally. Are more people buying gold and silver? Are they excited about it? I want to know exactly what's going on. Then we're going to ask Josh at the end what he would do if he had a few $1,000s to buy in gold and silver. What kind of gold would he get, and what kind of silver would he buy as well? So let's get into it and be joined by Josh from Minot Coin and Bullion. But do me a favor, go down below and make sure you're subscribed and hit the like button to help YouTube recommend this video to others. All right, everybody, welcome back. We are joined once again by Josh from Minot Coin and Bullion. And Josh, I want to jump right into it. In February, Perth Mint reported that gold sales were up 16%. And I've been hearing from other dealers that there's been a lot of interest in gold lately. How has that affected your shop? Have you seen a big bump in people buying gold?
I most definitely have. You know, it's really, really interesting because we're not too far removed, maybe 6 weeks from gold demand really bottoming out to the point where shops were getting inundated with gold from the public, and shops on YouTube were talking about how they were actually shipping off pre-33 gold, American Eagles to refineries to melt. It's flipped, 180 degrees flipped. I saw that, 6 weeks ago in my shop too. A lot of people selling, not a lot of people buying. It's the opposite. There's a lot of people once again buying gold. It's weird, price hasn't really changed all that much in the last 6 weeks in terms of spot price, but demand has definitely shifted.
Yeah, I've been hearing that as well. And I've heard a lot of it has to do with not just the tariffs. And I know the tariffs haven't affected the gold price much at all, but also, people thinking about this whole audit on Fort Knox. Has anyone said to you, I know you don't ask your customers personal information, but has anyone openly said, hey, I'm interested in gold because of this or because of that?
Yeah, we've actually had quite a few discussions over the last couple of weeks about that in the shop. People have varying opinions. Some people think the gold's all there. Some says it makes no difference. They just want to own some. But that's definitely played a part in it. Having that in the news gets gold in the forefront of people's minds once again, and therefore increase in demand. I have not just seen regulars buying more, but there's been a lot of that. I mean, people that I know just from me have bought substantial amounts of gold over the last several years. They're buying more, okay? But there's also a lot of new people coming in that want to own gold. So yeah, demand has definitely made a big shift, and availability on gold is a little tighter now too. I just had to place an order for 1 ounce gold bars yesterday. My wholesaler had to struggle to find some live that were available to ship to me the same day. And it wasn't a lot. I mean, it was 15. I mean, that's, it wasn't 1,000 gold bars I was looking for. I'm talking 1 ounce gold bars, but, availability is getting a little tighter because of the uptick in demand.
1,000 gold bars, that would be a lot. So
that'd be a big order. I've never ordered 1,000 for the record, but
yeah, I would love to see that be opened to 1,000 gold bars. The most gold I've ever seen in front of me was a full sealed monster box of Eagles. So that's 500 ounces for you guys that don't know. That was awesome. Actually, I did that when I was visiting SD Bullion in December of 2023. They brought us out, and we got to tour the warehouse. And I actually did a short from there where I showed, taking an eagle out of the monster box of 500 Eagles. It was really cool. What's funny is at the time I did that video, Josh, that monster box of Eagles represented about $1 million. Today, it's close to 1.5 million. That's how much gold has went up in such a short time. So Besides the Fort Knox audit, if it happens, and besides the tariffs, has anyone else said any other reason? I know the stock market has been taking a hit and people are worried about the economy a little bit. I've been hearing some, news articles here and there about calls for a possible recession even. I don't know if that's actually going to happen, but if people in your shop have been saying that as part of the reason as well.
They definitely have, talk of definitely possible recession. Downturn in the stock market, downturn in the crypto market has had I don't want to call them weak hands, but I'm going to, the people that, are afraid of every little dip. They've pulled money out of the markets, both crypto and stock markets. I've had people tell me that to put it either into silver and gold for the first time or to do it again. So I have several customers that just go back and forth between the two. Sometimes they're very bullish on, I'm going to sell all these ounces and I'm going to put this money into this cryptocurrency or this stock. They'll ride it up. The minute it starts to go back down, they're pulling out and they're going back into metal. And I think that's part of what we're seeing now in the shop, because I have people telling me that.
So you think they're looking at it as like a safe haven again?
I think so. Say what you want about the stock market, but I believe, this is opinion. We'll start by saying that it's been hyperinflated with, our hyperinflated current, well, not hyperinflated, but our inflated currency. All these dollars that have been created over the last 5, 6, 7 years, a lot of that has went into the stock market, and I don't believe it should be as high as it is. So, I don't want to say it's getting what it deserves, but I'm not surprised that we're seeing some pullbacks. But there again, markets are fickle. They're tricky to predict. They don't always, follow conventional wisdom. Back 10 years ago, you could almost bet everything you owned. If you looked at the Dow and the Dow was up, you could be certain that gold and silver were down, and vice versa. It's not the case anymore. I mean, they don't have an inverse relationship all the time, so it is a little trickier to play the market like that. But I do know there's people that are doing it because they're a little terrified of I don't want to use the crash word for the markets, but a big pullback and leaving them, at a loss or at no profit. So they're looking at other things to put it in, and gold and silver are an obvious choice.
Yeah, I kind of get that. I remember when, if the stock market went down, gold and silver would go up, and it was kind of like a vice versa thing. So like one was down, one was up. It used to be that way. It is definitely not that anymore.
No.
And, I've talked about this on the channel before, Josh, but I actually don't just put all my eggs into one basket. I have quite the diverse stock portfolio as well. And the markets have been down. I mean, gold's been doing well, silver's been doing well, but my stock portfolio is down like 30%. It's huge. Yeah. And, something I just thought about, Josh, maybe a month or two ago, I don't remember exactly what it was. We talked on this channel about a customer of yours that came in and sold a bunch of silver, like a lot of silver for Bitcoin. And silver's held its value. Bitcoin's dropped like 25,000 a coin. And I'm not knocking Bitcoin, like to each their own, whatever. If you're into that, that's fine. Right. But my point is if he would have stayed in silver, he'd be doing a lot better than he is in Bitcoin right now. I'm wondering if he's come in and said anything to you about that. Have you seen him?
I haven't seen him. He hasn't come back to me, but just for a little bit of context for those watching, he sold me a lot of ounces of silver that he had purchased from me probably between 2020 and 2022. I forget the exact number, but it was thousands of ounces. It was, I think, between 3,000 and 4,000 ounces that he sold back to me. Because I know we got into the 6-figure range with, his proceeds, and he had told me he was going to put it all into Bitcoin. So to your point, yeah, he could definitely be down today, $15,000, $20,000 or more. Had he kept it in silver, he'd be up, a few dollars per ounce. Yeah. But you never know, hindsight, right? And if he's in it for the long game, who knows? He might come out just fine. But that's just a risk you take when you're investing in anything.
Yeah, and I wasn't criticizing him. Like I said, my stock portfolio is down 30%, which is around what Bitcoin's down. And it's not because I'm in Bitcoin, but you get the idea. So the risk is going to be there no matter where you go. And, I made a video recently where one of the things I told people, Josh, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this one as well. I talked about 3 myths that people say about gold and silver. One of them is that it has no risk at all. And that's just not the case. You want to speak a little bit more to that?
Yeah, there's risk in any type of investment. Gold, silver, platinum, palladium, any of the precious metals, they're not separated from risk. Markets are cyclical. They go up and down. We've seen many, many down markets. Arguably, 2011, silver was almost $50 an ounce, right? And we haven't come anywhere near close to that since. And I know at that time, this was in end of April 2011, when we saw our last, recent high, I guess, of almost $50 silver. I know a lot of people that were clamoring to get in and buy silver at $40, $45, $48, $49 an ounce spot price without the premium. So you can't tell those people there wasn't any risk involved, because they haven't even come close to recouping their investment yet. And we're 14 years later. In the same time period, gold is up triple. So to the point, gold and silver don't always necessarily follow and perform similar to each other either. But I think you would back me up on this, and I don't have raw numbers in front of me, but in 2024, both gold and silver had very, very similar gains. I think it was between 35 and 40%. If you look back a rolling 12 months, gold is up like 50%, silver's up close to 50%. So they have kind of followed each other a lot lately, but there's definite risk. I mean, there's risk in any investment, and gold and silver is no exception.
So to answer that question, yeah, so the difference between gold and silver in 2024, gold won, but by less than half of a point if you look at it on a percentage gain basis. And, 2011 was a bad time to buy for sure, but I think if you're looking at your metals on a long-term buy, and if you're dollar cost averaging, you should be okay even had you purchased in 2011. And I kind of know that from experience because I purchased in 2011. But but I've been buying silver and gold. I've been stacking since around 2003. And in 2003, silver was like $4. Gold was like 400 something. So over the long course of time, there's been bad times to buy. There's been a lot of good times to buy, and there's been some bad times to buy with silver. Fortunately, because gold's hit so many all-time highs in the last year and a half, that there's not been a bad time to buy gold in the last 14 years. So to the people that shout gold instead of silver, I mean, they have a valid point there, but I want to hear your opinion on this as well. I'm not trying to dominate the video with me chatting. I still think silver's potential is better than gold's, even though there are times where you kind of look at it and be like, man, when's it going to happen, right?
Yeah, I have a little bit of regrets that I don't buy more gold. And I've talked to you before too. I haven't actually purchased for my own stack a piece of gold for quite a long time. It's been a year and a half, maybe 2 years. Do I regret it a little bit? Yeah, because of the performance of gold. But to your point, you just mentioned silver has similar gains. I believe silver has all the stored potential. Can gold go higher? Sure. But I believe that silver is going to outpace, gold in gains over time. Just looking at it from a historical perspective, I'm a numbers guy, and I think you are too. I know a lot of people are going to hate this, but I look at the gold to silver ratio. I know you can argue it doesn't matter in today's day and age. It depends on your perspective there, but I think it still does matter. As we film this today, gosh, what are we at? Probably about 88 or so. That's just a guess. 88 to 1. There's been times in the not too distant past where we've seen a 60 to 1 or a 65 to 1 ratio. And we've also seen 120 to 1. So there's big swings in the values of the two. I don't think we'll ever get back to a 15 to 1 ratio or a 12 to 1 ratio between gold and silver. And what is the ratio coming out of the ground? Is it like 8 to 1?
Yeah, it's like 8 to 1.
I don't think we'll ever get there in terms of price, but I just think they're so far out of whack in terms of value right now. And I don't think gold is overvalued. So in order for that ratio to shrink, silver has to go up, right? So I think in time, silver is going to catch up to gold per se. And that's where you're going to start to see gains in the silver market. That's what I believe. That's an opinion. And that's why I stack silver.
Yeah, I agree. I stack a little bit of gold as well. I probably have bought gold more recently than you have, but I haven't bought, I want to say since gold was around 2,400 or so. So, I'm not not buying it because of the spot price. I mean, I'm not going to lie and say that's not part of what's, my thinking is. Obviously if gold drops to under 2,000, I'm buying. You know what I mean? Like, so I guess spot price does play a little bit into it, but I just love silver so much more. I believe in silver's potential a little bit more as well, quite a bit more actually. And so whenever I'm out to buy precious metals, whenever I have money to put into precious metals, I gravitate towards silver every time. Maybe that's a mistake. Maybe it isn't. I don't know. I guess we'll find out. But I agree with you that the GSR should be closer than it is right now. 88 to 1 is pretty spread. And like you had said, 120 to 1's even farther. At 120 to 1, I'd be buying nothing but silver, but just so you know. Because I do think 60 to 70 is probably where it should be. I got 2 more questions for you I want to cover. We just said gold to silver out of the ground is 8 to 1. Silver has higher industrial demand than gold does. Why is silver so much cheaper than gold? Do you have any idea?
Well, I think I have a lot of ideas. I think the biggest one is manipulation, price manipulation by big banks, longs and shorts on contracts. I mean, we could do several videos explaining that, but I think that's the biggest reason. It's a very highly manipulated metal. Gold, I believe, is not manipulated as much price-wise. So there's large banks that make a lot of money by suppressing the price or letting the price run up a little bit, depending on what benefits them at the time. They can make money on the way down and the money on the way up, depending on how they're positioned. So, we're the pawns in that game right now. We can still make some money too, but we're kind of at the mercy of the manipulators. So that's what I personally believe. At some point, I feel like that's going to end. I don't know what it's going to take, because for the most part, it's not illegal. It's very unethical what these entities are doing in terms of manipulating the price, but there are rules and laws that have been broken, and like JP Morgan, for instance, has been fined billions of dollars for doing that, and been penalized. Now you can't trade for a year, but that hasn't really stopped the manipulation from happening. That's where I stand on it. So I think that's why. That's just my own personal opinion. What do you think?
That's a lot to do with it, I believe. It doesn't make any sense to me. I've said this on the channel before as well. I hate that I keep saying that, but it's true. But silver is not only a precious metal, but an industrial metal. As a precious metal, there's plenty of silver available. There's no shortage of silver as a precious metal. However, as an industrial metal, it is actually pretty scarce. And so, there's no shortage of it right now either, but we have been running on silver deficits for 4 years now, since 2021. So
that sounds right.
Yeah. If you guys don't know what a deficit is, we're not at a shortage. There's plenty of it above ground, but we're producing less of it than we're using. So if you run a deficit every single year, you end up $36 trillion in debt. I mean, you end up, you end up getting short on silver. How long will that take? I don't know, but I had to throw that in there. But Josh, let's make it a little bit more lighthearted for this last question, then we'll get off of here. For the viewers, right now, let's say you had a few $1,000s that you wanted to put into gold or silver. What would you buy? And I'm not saying would you buy gold or would you buy silver. I mean, if you were going to buy gold, what would you buy? And if you were going to buy silver, what would you buy? Go.
Okay. How much money do I have?
Let's say $3,000.
Okay, $3,000. If I could squeeze, if I'm buying gold, I would try to buy a full ounce. That's going to be tough today with gold at $24.50 or $29.50 almost. But if you could squeeze out an ounce and buy a gold bar per se, a assayed, reputable brand, carded gold bar, that's what I would put my money in. You're going to pay the lowest premium. You're going to get the most gold for your money today by buying privately minted gold bars. So that's what I would recommend if you had $3,000. If you're going to buy silver, there's a few options, honestly. I would still gravitate today, if it's your first purchase ever, towards lower premium silver. And in today's market, that's 90% US pre-1965 silver coinage. It's 1 ounce silver rounds, 5 and 10 ounce silver bars. You can't buy 100 ounces. Otherwise, I'd maybe recommend buying a 100 ounce bar. But that's going to exceed the budget there. But I would definitely stick to lower premium silver. The things I would not buy, if I was investing in silver for the first time with $3,000, I wouldn't buy anything, semi-numismatic. I wouldn't buy graded bullion coins. I wouldn't buy collectible bullion coins. I wouldn't buy, silver bullets or silver statues, because all those have higher premiums. I would focus on getting the most silver for your dollars. So at that point, privately minted rounds and 90% silver is where I would be.
Perfect, because that's word for word what I would have said. Maybe slightly different tone, but same exact thing. So I agree 100%. But guys, keep in mind, this is not financial advice. This is just the opinion of two people on the internet. So, take it with a grain of salt. Seek financial advice from a legal licensed financial advisor before you make decisions in investing. All right. So Josh, thank you so much for joining us. Guys, Josh has his own coin shop in Minot, North Dakota. Josh has his own YouTube channel, Minot Coin and Bullion. I'm going to put a link for that down below. We'd like to have him on every 2 weeks. So make sure you subscribe here as well, so you don't miss out on those, and go over there and subscribe to his channel so you don't miss out on some great content from him. Josh, thank you for joining us. I really appreciate it.
Likewise. Thanks a bunch.